Hey, I am getting messages almost daily about our homeschool schedule, so I just thought I'd do a quick video, and maybe you'll find it helpful, maybe not. That way I don't have to do it more than once. So we use what's called a loop schedule, and I can't take full credit. My cousin Elisa showed this to me last year, and it just like changed our homeschool for the better. So this is our daily schedule. From breakfast to this part, me and thee, is where you would put your morning routine. This is like what you would want your kids to do before you start your curriculum. Right here is where we start our curriculum. And so I am homeschooling two of my kids, Evie and Ella. So Evie, she is first with her big subjects. So I am free during Evie's time. She's working on language arts, math, reading, things that I want to be available to help her if she needs my help. And while she's doing that, Ella, my other child, is working on her loop. The only thing you put on their loop are things that they can do completely on their own. That means they don't have to come and be like, Mom, what do I do next? They just know. And you can give them a little timer. Like some of them are timed, like do 15 minutes of multiplication. Some of them are just pages. So like handwriting is to do 2 pages of handwriting. And then she moves on to flashcards. So she has this little paper clip here, and she just starts. When she's done, she clips down. She will not finish this whole loop every single day. Probably 2 to 3 times a week, she'll get to each of these. So they just, wherever they left off, they'll pick up the next day and they'll clip down and they'll start there. So then after, as soon as Evie's done with her big subjects, then I switch and Ella does her big subjects. And I'm free and available to work with Ella on her big subjects because Evie is now working on her loop. And so the idea of the loop is you just put things on there that they can do completely on their own. And they're like, do computer time. You can do any subject for computer time that's student-led. And it's good for them to not be asking for your help during that time, because sometimes that's the only way we learn is when we get it wrong. So I love on computer time that they just know, I'm working with your sister right now, and if you get things wrong if you're doing math on the computer, or if you're doing science or anything, any kind of school on the computer time, they just do it on their own. And sometimes they don't get it all right, and that's what I love about it. So that's the idea of the loop schedule, is it just frees you up to give each kid individual time. So then as soon as we're done with our curriculum, my kids do some chores and then freedom. And we try to get to freedom by lunchtime. Even if that means we have like a little bit later of a lunch, it's just easier for us to get our curriculums done and then have the rest of the day to be free. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. This is just what works for us. And if you feel like you're trying too hard to make something work, just switch it up and try something different. But this has really been a schedule that has worked for us, and I'm happy to answer any questions.